Delightful Humans. I'm Shannon Townsend.
And I'm Richard Townsend.
And you are tuned into the Married Marks podcast, where we talk about the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, the greatest, and occasionally the worst of professional craps news from around the globe. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate that you have chosen to come visit us. It means a whole lot. But if this is not your first rodeo, you know how this goes. We love you extra, extra hard. Whether it's your first time or your 145th, do us a favor, like, subscribe, leave a comment on whatever site or app that you are tuned in on today. It takes 2 seconds out of your day, and it really does mean a lot to us. If you are checking us out on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. We are part of the Inside Joke Outside Voice podcast network. You can learn more about them at ijov.net and visit our hashtag Podern Family. Shout out to Genius Pie for the Married Marks theme song. Thank you so much. You can find them on Twitter at Genius Pie and hit them up for all of your musical funny bone tickling needs. We are also all over social media. You can find us, and we'd love you to join in with the conversation. Find us on Twitter at Married Marks, Instagram, all sorts of social media platforms, and you can drop us an email, marriedmarkspod, that's P-O-D, at gmail.com. Use your words, people. Hi, babe.
Hello.
Are you feeling? You sound rough still.
I'm still a little rough, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah, so Richard's been down and out for quite a few days, since pretty much midweek.
Yeah.
Like Wednesday, he got really sick. And I would say, as I yawn, it's been a weekend. I would say up until just today, you have really been under the weather and have not been feeling great.
Yeah, Wednesday I had to leave the mundane job a little early to come home because I wasn't feeling great. And
yeah.
Thursday I missed the whole day of work. I went back to the office on Friday, and I made it through the day. It wasn't easy, but I made it through the day.
Yeah, and then yesterday you just kind of...
Maybe I pushed myself a little too hard on Friday with us going to go see the McElroy brothers on Friday night, because Saturday it all kind of came crashing back on me.
Yeah, he crashed and burned pretty hard, so it's been a whole lot of hanging on the couch and watching a lot of Disney Plus, which is fine. But we are back, and we are here to talk about some wrestling and get caught up on the last few days worth of stuff. Now, I will say, because of illnesses and everything else, we did not get an opportunity to watch AEW or NXT last week. Things just really haven't happened, and we've been sick and running around and just...
Got them on the DVR.
Haven't
had time to watch them.
So, and I didn't want to, race it to give, back-ass opinions. So, we'll probably touch on it a little bit on Friday, but we're going to watch this week's episodes as well, so...
Yeah, I mean...
We'll see. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit of news. What do you got for us, Townsend?
So we do have some back news that we are going to talk about.
Okay.
And I suppose we'll just go ahead and talk about the biggest of the backstories. And that is CM Punk showing up on WWE Backstage.
Yeah. This is where my Minnesotan comes out, and I go, that's interesting. Because that is a thing that happened. How do you feel about all this? Because, tell everybody what happened first if they're not up and they didn't get to see the footage.
So, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what day this aired, and I don't remember. But so, right at the end of the show, Renee made some comment about making history again, or having Backstage be able to make history too.
Yeah.
Because all the shows make history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the Static hit and Cult of Personality started playing.
Yeah.
And I did love that Paige was like, is this a rib? And then out comes CM Punk.
I will say the reactions were pretty priceless. Yes. It was pretty good. Whether it was kayfabe or not, and they had no idea.
Or Adam Cole playing air guitar to Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
Channeling his Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'm into it. So yeah, this is interesting. How do you feel about this? I mean, let's be real. Neither of us ever thought this day would come. Ever. Well, you might have. I did not. I figured he was donezo with that company.
I'm of two minds. 2 years ago, I'd have said, yeah, he's still donezo.
But now that the
he really was in deep with trying to do the MMA thing, was in deep in the lawsuit issues.
yeah,
The lawsuit thing ended, and then he started the lawsuits with Colt Cabana.
you can't hear me eye rolling, but I'm eye rolling.
And then that all ended. And so now he's finally lawsuit free, but he's also MMA free because nobody's going to book him to fight because he's not very good at it.
No.
And, I'm pretty sure those lawsuits cost him a lot of money. He was probably running out of money.
More than likely, and he lives pretty.
Oh, he's
fiscally
very conservative when it comes to his money. I mean,
yeah.
I just figure it was time that he needed more money.
I mean, that could be it, like just for the paycheck kind of situation.
So now here's the question, though: is
you're gonna? Oh God, these are questions. These are words I never thought I'd hear again. Say it.
Well, no. What did WWE offer to keep him out of AEW?
See, now, and that was my big question because, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. I do want this to be a driving part of the conversation today. The landscape right now, it's crazy. I mean, there are so many weird stories of behind the scenes things happening that it's crazy. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit, but yeah, it's nuts. My question was like, do we think he's getting back in the ring then?
Well, this is a contract with Fox, not with
not
WWE.
the WWE, but I mean, this is kind of like dipping your toe in the kiddie pool when everybody just wants to know if, are you going up to the high dive? Are you just gonna like high dive board like right off, like head first? Or is this you like just sitting in the kiddie pool going like, no, I'm good? That's gonna be the hardest part of this. And the fans are gonna lose their freaking minds.
Okay. That's what we're looking at here. So it is a foot in the door.
Yeah.
For a possible return.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he may stick to his guns and say, no, I am done with wrestling.
Yeah, he may.
I am done physically wrestling. I don't mind doing this because I have history with it, and I know a lot of these people, and I follow the product, and that's fine. He is a student of wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know that it necessarily means there's an in-ring return possible.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past them, though.
See, that's my thing. Yeah.
Especially if they can do it smart. But it's going to be a lot of fan problem now, too. We're going to have a lot of fan problem. The CM Punk chants are going to return, and they're going to return hard.
That was my next point.
Especially Survivor Series weekend in Chicago.
That was my next point, is that I feel like this is also going to embolden kind of one of those terrible fan tropes that just never seem to go away, and this is just going to embolden people. I am really, really surprised that this is happening in conjunction. I guess I am. Like, I say I'm surprised, but I'm really not at the same time. Like, if he's going to come back, I guess this makes sense as a way to do it, because AEW doesn't really have anything for him to do other than, like, wrestle. So if they were like, yo, come wrestle, and his answer was, I don't want to, what the hell else are they going to give him?
Yeah.
Because they don't have a whole lot else. I mean, they're still having a hard enough time utilizing their weekly showtime properly, let alone trying to figure out other stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. And I do mean Minnesota interesting on that.
I would say, though, the other problem here, though, is what AEW has had to deal with for the last 9 months. From January 1st through September 1st. Mm-hmm. So from the time AEW announced their existence as a program to All Out, everybody was speculating CM Punk's return. CM Punk is definitely signing with AEW. CM Punk is definitely going to surprise us at AEW.
I mean, I don't think I ever said definite, but like it was plausible.
No,
Because anything was
I'm not saying
plausible.
you. I'm saying crowds.
Yeah.
We heard it all out weekend.
Yes.
He's going to show up in All Out. He's going to attack Cody, or he's going to attack Kenny, or he's going to attack so and start a program just before All Out, or just before AEW TV. And when it didn't happen that Sunday, all we heard at the little bit that we were at All Out was people bitching about AEW screwing up a good thing by not having CM Punk on the show.
I don't understand why having I almost said CM Punk. It's like a bootleg CM Punk. I don't understand why any fan would think having CM Punk or not having CM Punk is a decider of a good show. Because I'm sorry, a good show shouldn't just be reliant on you seeing one fucking person. That's ridiculous.
Punk already said it. Punk and AEW were in a no-win situation.
Yeah, completely.
Because either they believe Punk when he says he's not coming back and he's not signing with AEW, or you say he's a liar and that he's just keeping kayfabe and it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
They were in a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Fans made up their own belief on how it was absolutely 100% a thing that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew up in their faces, and instead of taking the blame for themselves, fans blamed AEW. Fans blamed Cody.
And I mean, let's be real. This is what fans do at their worst.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying this is what fans do when they are at their frickin' worst.
Yes.
Is they just build a situation up to the point where it's no longer manageable, it's no longer feasible, it's no longer viable. I don't know. I agree with your concept there. I feel like in certain ways AEW is just, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner in a few different ways. But like this whole Punk thing too, I don't know, like unpopular opinion, I don't give two shits if he's really back. I honestly think it would be better if he wasn't. And, like, I know that's going to be a controversial opinion with some people, but it's purely because I don't want to deal with the stupid fucking chants. I think they're dumb. They're dumb and they're interrupting and, like, they're purely there for fans that want to, like... It's a stupid way for people to try and show their dissent with the company, and I feel like there's more productive ways of doing that than by chanting CM Punk's name. And then on top of it, like... Yeah, was he great in his day? Absolutely. Like, I get it. We were fans of him.
Could he still be great? Who knows?
Sure, I guess. But my problem is I'm so disenfranchised with him as an individual because of the lawsuit thing, and because we are big Colt Cabana supporters. It's very hard for me to be like, oh, great, Phil. I know that sounds terrible, and I don't generally, like, use non-kayfabe names in that way, but, like, to me, I'm just like, yeah, CM Punk of a specific era was great. Phil, kind of a dick. Just not somebody that I care to follow. I don't like what he represents. I don't like the way that the fans respond to him, and I feel like this is just going to be more problems. And I don't want there to be more problems. I could be way wrong. I don't know. Maybe people will just be like, fuck yeah, and they'll tune in all the time, and they'll be like, this is great, and it's awesome. I don't know. I will say it will be fun to watch Nene put him in his place.
It's going to be interesting.
That part I'm kind of looking forward to.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Because she doesn't take shit from anybody that she's with, which is kind of great.
Let's go ahead and talk about the bevy of requested leaves.
Okay.
So, we had the Jordan Miles saying he quit.
Which has been kind of an ongoing thing for, a couple of weeks now? If I remember correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, so that whole thing is still ongoing.
And I will circle back to that because there's a lot more discussion there.
Yeah.
But Sin Cara, after last week's Raw, requested his release.
Yeah.
And was not granted.
Yup.
And Oni Lorcan has requested his release.
So just lots and lots of people are requesting their release from the company right now. And most of the time, these are people that are not being utilized very well.
Yes. Oni Lorcan has been with WWE for 4 years.
Yeah.
On
Isn't that crazy? Because it doesn't
NXT and 205.
doesn't feel like it, does it?
No, well, yeah. It does, actually. I remember being into him since before the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I feel like we've just seen so little of him that I just kind of forget that he's there. So to me, it doesn't feel like a lot of time has passed. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a bad situation. But this says something for the current landscape. If you've got multiple people that are now requesting more release, we've seen, and I mean, let's be real, this probably happens all the time behind the scenes in ways that we don't hear about, where people request their release from the company. But I think this stuff is a little more publicized right now because there is so much dissent and there are so many people that feel like they're just not being utilized very well. And there's competition for the first time in forever.
Well, so now we'll add now here we have to think about this, though. So, Sin Cara. And remember, Mike Kanellis asked for his release a while back.
Yeah, he did.
After signing a 5-year deal.
Yeah. Recently after signing a 5-year deal.
Yes. And then you've got Oni Lorcan, and then you also now have, and now this isn't asking for a release, and there's no guarantee that this is not a kayfabe story. But Brian Kendrick says he is taking an indefinite leave of absence from WWE.
Now, but we don't know what that means. So I kind of don't want to, speculate there. There could be multiple reasons, because he's been doing coaching work and stuff too, hasn't he, with the company?
Yeah, I think so.
On and off. So,
he's been doing a lot of, valet work.
Yeah. So, what if he's injured and we don't know? Maybe he's just got a rest. Maybe he's got personal stuff going on.
On Twitter, he wrote, "It's been 3 years since my last Cruiserweight title opportunity. Since then, it has become evident that nobody on 205 Live understands nor respects the road that I paved for them. Therefore, I am taking an indefinite leave of absence from the ring at WWE, #205 Live.
See, that reads very kayfabe to me, though.
It does. It
reads super kayfabe to me because it's very in line with his character. So, maybe he's just taking a break, too, and they're using it as a story mechanism. Maybe they're doing this so that when he comes back, he gets a halfway decent run again.
He is also quite old.
How old is he? I don't think he's that old.
40s at least.
So what? Let's see.
Under the WWE
sure
tour schedule, that's a lot.
It is a lot. He's 40.
Yeah.
He's only 40. He's literally 40. He was born about a year before I was. It is a lot, though. Their schedule is a lot for people to handle.
So he made that tweet from Hawaii, though.
So I'm saying, homeboy's on vacation. He's hanging out, having a little sippy of something by a pool, and taking a breather, a la The Miz, and just off doing a thing. They could be using this as a storytelling mechanism for when he comes back. That's my assumption.
It's hard not to draw some conclusions, though, considering that everybody's asking for their release are cruiserweights.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if they know something's coming down the pipe and just 205 is going to get scrapped entirely, or they're just going to scrap everything with their cruiserweight division, which I really hope they don't, because the cruiserweights don't deserve that.
Well, it's now the NXT cruiserweight title.
I know.
And yeah, they did the cruiserweight title change on NXT. They're having the title matches on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
205 Live seems to be... I know that they've canceled at least one, if not 2 or 3 205 Lives after SmackDown.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think that they're...
scrapping it, or they're just going to turn it into something else and fold it into NXT entirely, maybe?
Maybe.
That's a bummer.
It
It's a
is.
serious bummer. I'm not really also, let's just acknowledge I'm not super surprised about Sin Cara asking for his release. Like, the dude has not been, number one, he's not what I would consider the most solid of their talent. And number two, sorry, I just don't. And number two, he's been there for eons. They're not going to do anything with him. They're not going to utilize him well. I can't really blame him for asking for his release. And he's not like a big enough name that I think he could like go to AEW and in a way that like people would really, I hate to say care, but like I think people would just be like, "Oh, that's cool."
No,
Because I'm sorry, he can't stand up to dudes like Penta and Phoenix.
you know,
He just can't.
see,
Sometimes you get to a certain point and you can't wrestle at the same like speed and tenacity as some other talent.
everybody who has asked for their leave, I don't know that they're going to make the money that they would make in WWE.
Oh no, absolutely
Anywhere
not.
else.
Absolutely not.
Oni, I could, but here's the thing though.
Oni would be okay. Like,
Well, here's the aspect though. They make good money in WWE, but they're not doing what they love, which is to
Yeah.
professionally wrestle.
yeah.
So is it worth taking in a paycheck when you don't actually get to do the thing you love to do?
But that's the controversial topic to end all controversial topics now, isn't it? Is because there's people that bitch on both sides of that fucking argument where they're like, I would love to just like sit around and collect that much money and do fucking nothing. And like at the same time, there's people that go, yeah, but it would be soul sucking to be paid that much money and not be able to do what I truly love in my life. That's like, that is the great divide. that is the ultimate and great divide perspective.
Well, and here is my opinion on that. Anybody who says they would love to sit on their ass and collect a paycheck at home is most likely not a performer
Yeah.
and is working retail or a soul-sucking office job or a blue-collar job. And you know what? That's where I am. And you know what? I would love to sit on my ass at home and still get my paycheck instead of going to work because I don't have a passion for desktop IT work.
But like, that's the difference. I really love my job. So for me to like say I would like, would it be nice? Yeah, sure. But if it meant that I couldn't do the stuff that I like to do, no, I'd fucking be miserable.
You work in a position that enacts change in the world.
Yeah. And I'm very passionate about my work.
I work IT.
Yeah. You are less passionate
yes.
about your work.
I like my job.
Yeah, I was going to say, you like your job and you're grateful for your job. It's not that you're not
Yes.
grateful.
I like the company I work for. It's just that if it came down to me being able to still get my paycheck and be able to stay at home, I would probably do that.
Yeah.
But now, my DJing, though, would be a totally different story. If I got paid to DJ but told don't come into the club or don't come on tour, I would hate that.
Yeah.
I would
'Cause it
absolutely hate that.
It feels shallow, right?
Because-
It feels shallow and empty.
I don't DJ for money.
Yeah.
I DJ because I love it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hell, a lot of the gigs I do, I don't see a penny.
Yeah.
I do it because I love it. And that's something I think that a lot of wrestlers kind of get behind, though, is when they start out on the indies, you have to love it.
Well, yeah, because you're schlepping shit for years on end most of the time.
For a hot dog and a handshake, as the story goes,
Yeah.
you know, they're not
It's true.
making a ton of money on the indies. You have to love it.
It's like anything creative,
Mhm.
right? I mean, look at my dance career. I've been doing that shit for what, like 15 years now. And like, I'm very fortunate in that I do have gigs that pay a decent amount, as we were
Sure.
talking about earlier today. Like, I'm super grateful that I can show up and for like an hour of my week, I can make a considerable amount of money that I can then sink back into my stuff. But like, there's a lot of gigs I've taken where it's like, I'm not getting paid. And I take teaching clients that probably should admit this, but I have some that, like, they just can't afford it. You know what I mean? But I'm passionate about helping them because most of the time they're working through a disability or something. So I help them. I flex myself a bit. And that, like, that to me, I would rather make next to nothing and enjoy myself and be, you know, doing good and helping people find that part of themselves than I would be traveling the world and, you know, making shitloads of money and dancing for like Miles fucking Copeland or something. It's a very different thing. And when you have something that you're passionate about, I guess that's the deciding factor, is like, try to think of it as these people are artists, you know? They're out there working their fucking asses off. They're creating, they're being creative, they're putting their all. And like, guys, also, you know, when you have a shitty day and this is something I've been meaning to bring up. If you have a shitty day and you show up to work and your mood's just not there, you can kind of usually get away with kind of being an asshole. Like, sometimes you can close your door. Or sometimes you can put in headphones and ignore the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have to perform in some way, and I mean this specifically just for the performance side, you can't phone that in. Like, even a character like Orange Cassidy takes an incredible amount of your own, like, energy and labor to put out. And imagine, like, having to do that all the time and just being fucking mentally and emotionally and physically exhausted. Like, I don't know. I watch some people we know wrestle, and I'm like, God, like Frog. Like, Frog goes out there. Frog is just, like, turned up to fucking 15 every goddamn time he's in the ring. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, like, that motherfucker's got a migraine. He's still out there doing his shit. If he's in pain, he's still out there doing his shit.
Yep.
If you know, like, Orin Vite's the same way. Like, that motherfucker takes a beating and a half. And yet he's still out there doing what he loves every single weekend. Every single weekend. And, like, you can't phone that in. So, like, imagine working for this soul-sucking fucking situation where, like, you're barely able to do anything. And when you are able to do something, you give it your all. And you still feel underappreciated and fucking run down, and you're, like, emotionally tapped out, and your energy levels are depleted, and yeah, you're making money, but, like, you're not feeling fulfilled. Is that a situation you'd want to put yourself in?
Nope. I would ask to be released from my contract as well.
Food for thought. It's like and I know that a lot of people out there like to give talent flack for requesting for their release.
Oh, no.
What?
They like to give people of color and women flack for requesting their release.
That's true.
Because I have seen very little flack being given to Oney Lorcan for requesting his release.
Right, but a ton for Sin Cara, I'm sure.
No, not even a ton for Sin Cara. Definitely, I saw a moderate amount of flack when Mike Kanellis asked for his release, but mostly because of the signing a huge 5-year contract. His wife getting pregnant, and then he asked for his release.
Whatever. People are stupid. Just fucking you know what? You're not in on the contracts. Just fucking let people request it. I would request it only because, like, you get nowhere if you don't ask. Right?
Yeah.
That's me. I don't know. I know it's a weird business. I know it's kind of carny sometimes, but it is what it is. But this does say something about the current landscape of wrestling, right?
Yes.
Where we've got all these people working for the WWE that are requesting release. And then we've got just people bailing and going to other companies, and everybody shifting around. It is just a really weird, funky time. And it's kind of funny because, like, I was thinking about this earlier today because we were watching The Toys That Made Us.
I wanted to touch on that later on in the episode.
Yeah. Well, we can totally, like, chat about that. But, like, watching that episode made me, you know, they talk a lot about the history of wrestling and, like, the territories and things like that. And it just made me laugh because I'm like, God, it was this whole, like, don't step on the other territories, don't poach from the other territories, don't do all the shit. And now it's just like, it's like fucking battlegrounds out there. It's PlayerUnknown's. It's PUBG. It's fucking PUBG. Everybody's running around trying to kill one another and snipe people, and it's just fucking ridiculous. It's so different and so weird. I don't know. Like, I don't have a strong opinion about it. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and as we spoke of earlier, ACH, formerly known as Jordan Miles, and we will call him ACH now because that is what he is requested to be called.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to be called by his slave name anymore.
That's how he put it?
Yes,
Quote
that is how
unquote?
he put it.
Wow.
Yeah, let me actually...
Go off, son.
Let me pull up
Poetry
the exact
snaps
tweet.
for you, buddy. Yeah, pull up that tweet, because I want to hear this. Whew. Wow. Wow. I'm good for him. Like, don't fucking hold back, bro. You give him hell. Give him hell. If that's how you feel, you give him hell.
He did a video tweet, and I'm gonna actually, you'll be able to hear some of the audio.
Go for
I'm just
it.
gonna play it.
I fucking quit. Fuck them. I hate that fucking company and everything they fucking stand for. All they did was ever hold our fucking people back. I do this shit for the culture. I don't need anyone's fucking permission to do what I want to do. Screw Jordan Miles. Don't ever call me by that slave name. Call me ACH and don't forget the super bitch. I quit. Fuck you.
Wow.
That was his tweet.
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. I admire anybody who stands up for themselves in that manner, and that is 100% his right to say that, and good for him. I honestly say good for him for taking a stance and for saying what he's feeling, and I think that's incredibly brave and empowered, and I just support him in that. I totally support him in that.
Now, he's met some flack from...
Some backlash, I'm sure.
Some backlash, even from the people of color in the wrestling community.
I'm sure.
And you know what? That's for them to make that decision.
100%.
Nah,
I'm not even going to comment on it.
I have no opinions on that
Nope.
whatsoever.
Nope.
But he did do he actually had deactivated or deleted his Twitter for
like
about
a day.
36 hours.
Yeah, because we noticed it. We were just sitting around, dicking around on Twitter. We're like, oh, he's gone. Okay, that's a thing.
Well, he changed his Twitter from GoGo_Miles.
Yeah, back
to now it's ACH's Super.
Okay.
So he is back to being ACH. But he did a Q&A, and lots of questions were asked.
Now, is this a Reddit Q&A?
No, this was on Twitter, a
Okay.
video Q&A. In the Q&A, he addressed potential landing spots down the road, his mental health, if he's legally cleared from WWE, and Jay Lethal.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that Jay Lethal thing was a big one.
Yeah.
In regards to going to either AEW or NJPW, Miles felt like NJPW was where he'd like to return to.
Okay.
New Japan, not that I got anything against AEW, but New Japan, I love New Japan, ACH said. I feel I got a lot more left to accomplish there. When asked about if he was legally able to move on from WWE, his answer was legally, no. Mentally, yes. Which is a pretty good answer, actually.
It's a solid answer.
When asked about his mental health rumors, and that was a lot of what people were lambasting him for when he went on his
rant,
was that he was mentally unstable, and this was not, really him. And his response to that was, the thing about the mental health, I do suffer from anxiety, and I do suffer with depression, and I can have bad mood swings sometimes, but that doesn't mean when I speak out, it doesn't have any meaning behind it.
Right.
The t-shirt triggered things from my past, and it all came up at once, and a lot of anger from my past came with it as well. That caused me to come at people the way I did. Again, I'm not going to apologize for what I said. What I said, I meant it.
Also, people, maybe let's not criticize someone with mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you disagree with a certain perspective, that's fine. And I also agree that, like, even if you have mental health problems, it's important to acknowledge them and then still acknowledge that the way that you act is going to affect people. But being open and honest and having those conversations is another story. You know what I mean? But, like, maybe let's not shame people for having mental health challenges or for being anxiety and depression sufferers.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'm just saying, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's heavy. Like, wowzers, what a situation. I don't know. I'd love to know what our listeners think on this one.
Yeah, and then in regards to Jay Lethal, He said there's a huge story behind it, and to be fair and respectful, I won't disclose that story.
Okay.
So apparently there's something going on between the two of them, but apparently he said that Jay Lethal never actually said anything to him after the tweet went out when he called out Jay Lethal. So
all right. So they're keeping that one to themselves, at least.
You know, I look at it this way: if he wants to attack the company he worked for because he was unhappy and because of his beliefs, he has that right.
Right.
He chose to quit. Now, whether he's released from his contract, that's
another story.
That's a legality issue, and that's beside the point. He can still choose not to go. And if they do what they did to Pac and make him sit on the shelf until the end of his contract, and then wait another 3 months after that for, a no compete clause, then so be it. But here's the thing, though. We don't know how long that contract is.
Yeah.
I mean, because ACH signed with NXT right around the time they started making all those deals 5-year deals.
Yeah.
If he's on a 5-year deal
and he
hasn't even done one of those years yet,
he's going to be sitting around for a long ass time.
He's going to be on the shelf for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Which could be bad for his career.
Yes.
But he obviously felt it was very important, and I'm not going to deny that to anybody.
No, totally. And he apparently feels like it's important enough that he would rather stick to his guns than bow down and take a different perspective or approach. And I admire that. I honestly do. And I feel like that's his prerogative and that's his right. And it's not really our place to criticize that. So, I mean, good for him for sticking to his guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else we got?
The only other real stuff I have to talk about is some ratings news, I guess.
Cool.
I mean,
go for that, and then I've got some announced matches for next week.
SmackDown was down last week. Friday episode of SmackDown drew 2.35, which was down 2.610 million. So it was down 10% from the previous week.
That's significant.
That episode of SmackDown, apparently they revealed the new Universal title, or as now being lovingly referred to on Twitter and in our squared circle, the Fluniversal title, as now the Universal title is blue, not red.
It is.
So, we got that going for us. And then we had the previous Wednesday's AEW and NXT. NXT was down and AEW was up. NXT had 750,000 viewers, down from the previous week's 813,000, so it lost 63,000 viewers.
Wow.
And then AEW had 957,000 viewers, up from the previous week's 822,000, so roughly up 135,000 viewers.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, that's a very significant jump.
All right.
AEW had a good week. NXT, they're floating in that 750 range, Well,
AEW also made some announcements for matches this coming Wednesday that I did want to kind of talk about because one of our listeners had some thoughts on this too. And you can tell me if you can guess where this is going. So their announced matches for Wednesday in Indianapolis are Rey Fenix versus Nick Jackson.
Singles match.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mox versus Darby Allin.
That's going to be an
good.
Amazing match.
Private Party versus Santina and Ortiz, which is also going to be an epic match.
That will be a great match.
And then Dynamite Dozen Battle Royale. So they're going to have a men's Battle Royal.
For what?
For just the sake of having a Battle Royal, apparently. Notice what is missing.
Really? We can't announce a women's match?
Yep. Oddly, one of our regular listeners, BWriter213 on Twitter, who I'm completely going to just mention because he was kind enough to tweet this lineup at me. Now, this was announced yesterday, so it's not like it sat there for a few days. Even he had said, no women's match announced once again, and how it was a big criticism of the company. And I completely agree. I think it's fair to ask why they're not elevating the women, why they're not taking the opportunity to consistently announce women's matches, or it just continually feels like an afterthought to me. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just thought it was an interesting point to bring up. It does feel like they're still kind of treating their women's division like an afterthought, which is not what we were promised. Therefore, yeah, I'm still pretty critical of that situation. But that's going to be, that Mox Darby Allin match is going to be straight fire. That one's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that match. Yeah, we'll get another hastily thrown together, no story told women's match, I'm sure.
I have so many opinions.
And then they'll tell something on Dark, most likely.
Yeah. With Britt Baker.
No, that seems to be where they keep putting Nyla Rose lately.
Yeah.
Is on Dark.
Which, guys, why? She is literally one of the biggest draws in your fucking company. The fact that you're putting her on Dark matches is a travesty. Not that AEW Dark's not enjoyable, but I would really like Nyla to get some primetime opportunity. It's a travesty that they're not giving it to her right now. Anything else?
No, not really. I'm kind of looking on Twitter to see if there's anything going on right now, and I don't see much.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think it's...
I know we're in the middle of the World Tag League stuff.
For New Japan. Yeah. So we're going to take the next few days and get caught up on a lot of things. And Friday we'll come in with some nice, fresh AEW NXT perspective and talk a little bit more about Tag League. And we'll have lots more to report on through the week. But if you have something you want us to cover, hit us up. You can always tweet at us. We're on Twitter at MarriedMarks, or you can email us marriedmarkspod@gmail.com. We would love your suggestions. If you have something you'd like to hear us discuss in a future episode, throw it at us as well. We'd love to hear your perspective. So, feel free to come at us with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back for Friday, though.
Yeah, we'll be back on Friday with lots of goodness.
Yeah, we'll talk about NXT. We'll talk about AEW, so long as I'm feeling better and we can actually make it to
Luch.
To Luch.
I'm
and
sure
our standard Wednesday viewing.
I'm sure we'll be there this week, so.
And we got a pay-per-view coming up here. Survivor Series coming up. NXT War Games coming up.
So, we'll be at Luch a lot in the next, 3 weeks.
But until then, I'm Richard Townsend.
I'm Shannon Townsend.
And people talk to you on Friday.
Make good choices.